Okay, so I have the pleasure of being here now with James Strole, who is one of the co-founders of the People Coalition and also the director of RAAD Fest, where we've been coming to you live from. This is the man who put the whole thing together. So thank you for taking the time out to sit here and be with me.
Well, my pleasure. I mean, you've been a big asset here for us.
Thank you.
Yeah, did the moderating of that first night's panel. And
it was
did a
great
fun. Job. Yeah. So thank you for that. You're part of the experience here that's been so successful.
Cool, thank you. That's so sweet. Yeah. That's so sweet. And touching, because if you don't know who Jim is, and I said this from stage the other night, there wouldn't be a life extension movement if it wasn't for people like Jim.
Thank you.
And so, when I was Googling the other night, and I was, a couple of weeks ago, and I was watching videos of you like 26 years ago.
You went researching into my past.
I stalked you. I stalked you. And I thought, God, what bravery that was.
Oh, yeah.
To say, hey, we actually think that you can live longer, so let's talk about that. And you could sort of, like when it's such a new thing, what drove you to believe that and to do that?
Yeah, the core of it is that I always had a feeling that something was wrong with death, and I always had a real passion for life. So I've told this story before, you may have heard it, but when I was about 9 years old, I said to my mother, my grandmother had just died. I had faced my first, person dying that was close to me.
So a loss.
Yeah. And which a lot of us have had those experiences, kind of a wake up and the pain of that, because it's very close to her. And my mother said, to comfort me, she said, well, she's gone to heaven, and you'll get to see her like when you die, which is another chilling thing I had to face as a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
And then, so I said, so immediately just popped out, well, why do we have to die to go to heaven? Why can't we have heaven here on earth? And my mother said, whoa. She said, that's a good thought. But I don't really know the answer to that. So, why don't you follow that? Why don't you pursue that thought? And that kind of implanted in me, that feeling. And I think just from that time, I just pursued everything I could from, I'm a 9-year-old kid, but every time I could hear anything or talk about that, even in school, I wrote themes about it, and actually won some awards from my teachers about it, from writing these themes about life and things like not dying and things like that.
Yeah.
And so
because that doesn't fit the box.
So I started early. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. So I started early, and then to make a long story short, I met the partner who I'm working with now in 1968, actually. Before that, one important point was I was when I was 15, then I got into integral yoga, because integral yoga was the guru for integral yoga was Sri Aurobindo, and he was impassioned about life. He said, why don't we, he was like Abraham Lincoln of India. He said, why don't we create a super body to master super consciousness, and a body that would not die. So see, I followed that strand. And I did that
you can
when I was
tell
15 years
how
old.
focused you were on that.
Yes.
How many 15-year-old teenage boys are getting into yoga to look after their body in that?
Yeah.
So that's how driven you were.
Yeah, that's exactly right. My mother was a very, I was telling Suzanne Summers last night, because she was over there, we were having lunch, or was that, it was lunch, I'm sorry. And because she was asking some of the same things, and I said, my mother was a searcher, and back then, that was in the 60s, no one was doing things like colonics or raw milk, and she was doing all that kind of stuff. And then taking me also to hear all the most current, I'll say, progressive speakers in town.
Right.
And so I got that exposure. And of course, my other brothers were not interested in that, but I always was. So there's also kind of, I don't know if that's part of the strand of that life that that Mike West was talking about. There's a lineage that why do some wake up and some don't up to this concept?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Interestingly, many of the speakers up there say that they had this idea when they were very young children.
That's right.
And it's interesting they've been able to hold on to that ideology.
Yeah. Yes, correct.
Not have it beaten out of them that they were wrong.
Yeah, that's right. So then I met Bernie, like I said, in 1968, and she was with another individual who they were speaking. That's in my book, that we have.
And just for people listening, together. What's the name of the book if they wanted to?
50 Years of Living Forever and Just Getting Started.
There we go. You can read the whole book.
And so, then there, she and this other individual, Charles Paul Brown, they were speaking about immortality then. Well, I was kind of in a transitional state, about it, and when I say transitional state, I thought maybe we had to evolve, to that spot where you could, be good enough to live forever. But they were saying you're good enough now. I mean, to embrace it,
Yeah.
And so that really touched me. So that's what I took that on. Then in 1972, I actually started working with it. So that's how that all began to evolve.
Yeah. It's such a great organic story.
Yes, it is. Like I told you, really the short version, but that's...
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course. Because did you ever at any point when somebody might have said to you, you're crazy, did you ever believe them?
I never did.
Yeah,
that's
good.
Good. I've heard, I never took that on. I thought maybe, I just always thought, well, they don't get it. Because it was it made such sense to me. And I never actually felt that way.
Yeah. What is the thing that people can do which would be the most effective way to get us to living forever? Right now?
Yep. I think the most effective way right now is to, first of all, really change your mindset. I was talking a little bit about this on Wednesday night. To get that, we're already there. We got to take on that mindset that we're already there. Get out of the struggle of survival, and begin to bring the future to us. And we bring the future to us by beginning to live that future now. Live it daily. Quit living, feeling one thing and living another way, which is kind of indicative of most people. They have a belief, but they live a different way.
Yes.
But in mortality, you can't do that because you can't fool your body.
That's true.
You can't be thinking, you can be saying, I'm going to live forever. I really feel this, but if you don't really believe it or feel it, your body is going the whole time, no way, no way.
Yeah.
And that's why people have questions in themselves.
Yeah.
In the way they do. But yeah, so you bring the future to you by beginning to live how we're going to live in the future. I mean, if we're going to live without death in the future, which it absolutely will be completely. We'll have a lot of different new innovations. We need to live from that consciousness. So by doing that, then there's a strength that happens in your person, and you're able to, I think more clearly of what the priorities are. You're able to assimilate information about what and keep your focus. That your focus should be first and staying alive. But it's so easy to get distracted, as you know, in this world, and lose that focus. But by bringing that future to us and living that way, and ending the duality of life and death, life that a lot of people live continuously, it empowers the body, empowers your thoughts and your mind, the whole thing.
It's an interesting mind shift that you're talking about, because if you really believe that this is what you've got and actually it's never going away,
that's right.
Would you treat it differently?
Yes, that's exactly right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the whole premise of that.
Yeah.
Now I use the analogy a lot of times, like, people just they're like, they treat their bodies like some discardable.
It'll last my duration.
Yes, like you would turn it in to get 5 cents from it or something, or 25 cents, like a disposable bottle, or what they call it, where you exchange.
You got to recycle it.
Recycle it or something. And people think that way, and but the reality is this is what we've got, And yes, as through time we'll take all kinds of transformations. Will happen. I mean, we'll evolve, but we can evolve without dying.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
thank you. You're a very busy man, so I won't keep you for any longer.
Okay.
I just want to, because this is obviously going to be reaching people, so I want to let everybody know that there is a new Chase Life Extension Foundation Anti-Aging Hall of Fame, and Jim and Bernadine were the first 2 people to be inducted into that. That was such a pleasure.
Well, that was such an honor, and that was beautiful. Thank you so
a deserved honor.
Yeah, it was a real inspiration to us.
Yeah, thank you. Keep up the good work for us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I will.
Cool.
You too.
Yeah.